is Thomas, and many of you know me as a member of the filming ministry. That ministry that we began during the early days of the pandemic so that we could bring the gospel readings and Ken and Kate's homilies into your homes. When Dan Potts, our rector's warden, asked me to speak to you today about pledging during the current stewardship campaign, I immediately said yes, because I am honored to be able to help the church community in any way that I can. But after Dan turned around and left, I had a moment to think about it, and about what I'd been asked to do. And I thought, why me? What could I possibly say about stewardship? I have never even pledged before in my life. As a freelancer, I do not receive a salary, and I never know how much money I'm going to have each month. And while there are some bills that come in no matter what, like rent, the phone, utilities, there are some things that I can only do when there's money left over, like upgrading equipment. And that's why I've never pledged. I never knew how much money I would have during any given year, so I never thought that I was in a position to be able to pledge a specific amount annually to the church. Which isn't to say that I didn't give. When work was coming in, I placed money in the collection plate accordingly. But like my own income, it wasn't always the same amount. And more recently, during the time of COVID-19 and the plate not being passed during the service, I will admit there have been times that I have forgotten to place an offering in the plate by the door. Writing down my thoughts about what I was going to say today, I began to realize that the church is kind of like a freelancer. There are some bills that are going to come no matter what, like salaries and utilities. But there are other things that the church does. Like outreach programs that can only happen when there is money left over. And just like a freelancer, for the church, it is difficult to make plans for the following year without knowing what resources there are to work with. I know what it's like to not know how you're going to make ends meet, and that it's only through the grace of God that there has always been just enough and almost nothing left over. And that's why during the 2021 stewardship campaign, I'm going to be pledging for the first time. We're going to now admit to you that that is the end of my prepared comments, because as a freelancer, I'm busy and I always run out of time. So now I'm going to speak a little bit off script. I just wrote some notes on the train on the way in, but maybe I'll just speak off the cuff. I went through a period of discernment last year, and that's when I came back to St. Albans. I've lived in Japan for about 20 years, and I've come off and on, but I often work on Sundays, and I didn't always make the commitment of time to be able to come to church. But the times in that 20 years where I would come and go, the times that I found myself coming here were when things were particularly tough for me, when I was searching for something, when I needed support, when I needed to see a friendly face, and when I felt like I needed to come home. When I came home last year, it had only been a few months that I was settling in when the COVID-19 pandemic happened. And Ken and Kate asked if I could help film the homilies in her office, and we very quickly developed that into filming in the church, even with some educational elements to bring to people at home. And I was so happy, I was so honored to be able to give my time to the church in that way. And stewardship is that. It is offering your time, and it is offering your talent. And it's also, when possible, offering the financial support to be able to help the church do the things that we do. Even the filming ministry, we recently purchased some equipment to help us be able to do that, and things like that cost money. The other program that I have been extremely honored to be involved in is DSG, the Deeper Service Group. And that is an outreach program that is particularly close to my heart. It is an outreach program that we have that helps people that are in immigration detention. There are asylum seekers and refugees in Japan. And we were recently honored with the vestry giving our Deeper Service Group an amount of money that we could use to support these men and women that are in detention. And it's things like that that can't happen if there isn't some extra money left over. So I ask that you join me this year in pledging the support that you feel that you can give to the church so we can continue to do the things like pay the salaries and the electric bills and also the other important programs that the church is participating in. And for those of you that cannot at this time, especially because of the pandemic, make a financial commitment, we hope that you can offer your gifts of time and talent to the church as well. I was especially struck by the gospel reading today and by Canon Kate's sermon, which really spoke to me about why it is that we do what we do. Why do we come to church? Why do we form a community? And it causes me to think more deeply about how it is that we do those things. They aren't just things that just happen. There are things that happen because we come together and put our energy and our time and our efforts together. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, to be part of the church community, and to feel that I have a purpose in my life and in my church life,